teacher's assistant Michelle Ayana Johnson is suing music producers Terrence Ireland and Jason Pittman for the return of her music and sexual harassment. Terrence and Jason claim the music is theirs to keep.
Yes, case number 198 on the calendar in the matter of Johnson versus Ireland Pittman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Which one is Ireland? Good, so I know where we are. Ms. Johnson, it is your claim that you paid the defendants to produce a music demo for you.
That is correct.
And you paid them, and they didn't deliver what was promised.
That
Now, I don't quite understand all of the technical stuff that you put in here. But Mr. Ireland and Mr. Pittman say that you never fully paid, that you don't get some sort of a master tape. This is going to get very complicated. And since you didn't fully pay them, you got everything that you're entitled to. Is that close enough?
That's very close.
So, how did you find them, and what was this contract that you entered into?
I worked with Terrence Ireland at a group home. I was a teacher's assistant, and he listened to my demo that said...
So you had a demo?
Yes, I had a demo with another producer. And Terrence let me know that he also was a producer and that I should let him listen to my music. He then listened to it and said that he would like to work with me. He invited me down to his studio to meet his cousin Jason in hopes that we would be able to work together.
Go ahead.
As of right now, I am the copyright owner and the author of the lyrics and the melody to the 5 songs that I created with the defendants from November 2003 up until May of 2004. Now, there is no written contract, only a verbal agreement which states a work-for-hire situation in which I pay a flat fee of $500 per song to the defendants and also have the use of their studio and their musical backings. They have no claim to copyright, they have no claim to royalties, and they have no claim to my master. Now,
How do I know that?
Say again?
How do I know that?
Because I created the songs. I also have the copyright material.
Why don't you have a contract?
He told me that I did not need a contract, that all I would need to do is give him $250 up front and $250 in the end for the songs.
Doesn't sound very professional to me, Miss Johnson.
No, which is why I'm no longer wanting their services. That is correct. They raised the price of the 6th song, which I started creating. This here is a musical director of the Grammys and of the Turtles. He also listened to my demo and told me also that it is an unfinished project. And in order for me to finish my project with another producer, they would need my digital formatted copy or master of my music in order to help me. If you'd like to...
Are you following all of this?
Sure.
Why don't you explain it to me?
Okay. She paid them to produce her stuff. They have her master.
Right.
This guy here is telling her that she needs the digital master in order for another producer to help finish out her demo.
How much did you pay them all together?
I paid them $2,500 for the 5 songs.
You have proof that you paid them $2,500?
I have proof for the 3 songs that I created. They're holding the other 2 receipts.
But you paid them in cash?
Yes, that is correct.
How much did she pay you?
She paid us all together. Let's see here. 500, 1,000, 1,500. Let's see. 17, 18, 19. $1,900, Your Honor. Sorry, I didn't have it all added up, but I do have all the receipts.
He says you paid him $1,900.
That is incorrect.
Show me proof that you paid him $25.
I don't have proof. They're keeping the other 2 receipts.
Well, how am I supposed to tell? He says you gave him $1,900.
Well, I have a disc of the 5 songs that I created with all 5 songs on them. They would not hand these songs over to me unless I had paid for the songs in which I created.
Well, what is it that you want from them? A master?
I want the master, the digital file that they hold in their possession, and also funds to finish my project. My project is not mixed nor mastered.
So you want them to give you what they got so far, plus give you more money?
Plus give me the money in order to finish. I also have to do that.
I gotta do that.
I have to finish.
Well, right now, finish it.
Right now, the project is incomplete. On
then
May
find
24th,
somebody to complete it.
Well, on May 24th, Jason sexually harassed me and told me that he works for music and that he could get me a deal if only I slept with him.
That was a very nasty thing for him to say. If you said that, that was a very nasty thing for you to say. Let's move on.
I have the 5 songs in which I created. They're withholding the other 2 receipts from me for sexual favors.
Now I don't get it.
What?
Now I don't get it.
I didn't get it either. Still don't get it. I want to get beyond this sexual harassment business that you tacked on to this. You want your master.
I want my master, and I want the funds that I need in order to finish the project.
They're not going to pay you that, Miss Johnson.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Good. Well, that's not going to... Listen to me.
deal.
That's not going to happen. Okay, Mr. Pittman, listen to me very carefully, sir. These are her songs, correct?
No.
They're not her lyrics?
No.
They're not her music?
No.
Whose are they?
Ours.
You're telling me that you wrote the music?
Exactly.
Really?
Right.
Who wrote the lyrics?
I did. And Terry did. She actually went out and copywrote the music.
Behind our back.
Behind our backs.
Without our consent.
You don't know anything about that, right, sir?
No.
Because she says she wrote the music. They say they wrote the music.
She wrote the lyric and the melody for the songs.
How do you know?
She told me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Johnson claims music producers Terrence Ireland and Jason Pittman owe for the return of her music and for sexual harassment.
Now, you don't know who wrote the music. She says she wrote the music. They say they wrote the music.
May I say something, please, about that?
Sure.
There's two elements to a song. The lyric and the melody is the copyrightable item.
Yes.
You cannot copyright an arrangement.
No, I understand that.
Okay, so
that I understand.
She claims to me
that
and
she
I believe
wrote.
her,
That,
the lyric
I don't
and
care
the
what you
melody.
believe. What you believe is irrelevant to me. She said to you, I wrote the lyrics and the melody.
Yes.
He says that he wrote the lyrics.
Lyric and melody. Okay.
I want to see the sheet music when it was written. Let me see. Don't you have that? Somebody have that?
I have the copy written with the Library of Congress that I submitted.
When?
On March of this year, 2004.
Well, when did you record it?
I recorded it from November of 2003.
Well, then what difference does it make if you sent to the Library of Congress something after you made the recordings?
Because I was determined that I was finished working with him.
Listen to me. If you write something, and if you know, Ms. Johnson, that what you can do in order to solidify your position as the author of a piece of music, that you copyright it and you sent it to the Library of Congress, why didn't you send it before you recorded it?
Because when the defendants had the beats, I then wrote the music to the beats, so I didn't have the words when I came to the studio.
Just a second. When you say that they wrote the beats is a melody.
No, the guitar and the instruments. I wrote the way the song was supposed to be arranged.
Nobody is ever going to be able to tell what happened here because the three of you, semi-professionals, don't have a contract. And I'm not going to be able to tell who came in with the music and who didn't. You copyrighted something, but you copywrote it after you recorded it. So if you write the words to music and you want to copyright the words that you wrote to music, you copyright them by sending them into the Library of Congress. You did it after you recorded them.
Well, I was still recording. This shows in March. This date here shows the March
Listen to me, you said you started in November.
I started with them in November.
Right, you started with them in November.
Right.
Ms. Johnson.
And it took about a month and a half to finish a song.
I cannot tell who wrote this music.
Well, I'm the only one that has the copywritten information.
And I'm telling you that that was a bit of slick maneuvering because you already had recorded them. You already in March decided not to work with them anymore. So you said, bet you they didn't copyright it. So you sent in your copyright to the Library of Congress. And I'm telling you, if you were operating in good faith, you would have done it before since you knew how to do it.
Amen.
Listen, when somebody wants to copyright an idea, they don't copyright the idea after they've already let it out of the bag. They do it beforehand.
Well, Andy Kahn heard my music, and he told me also that my project was not finished. But after the fifth
Ms. Johnson,
song...
I can't help you, my dear. Can't help you. Case is dismissed. That's what you have. You have 2 demos.
Parties are excused. You may step out. All parties in the matter of Denton versus Clevenger, step forward, please.
Computer analyst Julia Denton is suing her sister-in-law, student Patricia Clevenger, for the cost of a '96 Toyota RAV4. Julia says Patricia's husband totaled the vehicle.
Mrs. Denton, is this your brother?
Yes.
And this is your sister-in-law?
Yes.
According to your complaint, several years ago, your husband passed away.
Yes.
You say it was in 2001.
That's correct.
When he passed away, one of the things he had was an automobile that was in his name. You had a car, and you agreed to, at that time, let your brother and your sister-in-law use that car.
Correct.
Until the estate was settled, and with the understanding that when it was settled, you would sell them the car. Was that your agreement?
Well, we actually didn't make that agreement. When I loaned them the car to begin with, we didn't make that agreement. It took a long time for the estate to be settled. It wasn't settled until the end of May of 2004. As it got closer to that date, then we started talking about selling them the car. That was my intention, to either sell it to another party or sell it to them if they were still interested in buying it.
Once the estate was settled?
Right, because I was not able to sell any of the assets. He did not have a will, and I was the administrator of his estate. Right.
Okay. Now, you gave them the car to use from 2002, according to your complaint, until 2004. Now, my question to you is, in whose name was the car titled in 2004?
The title was in my late husband's name until after the accident.
Okay. Now, according to you, you insured the car up until May or June of 2004.
Correct.
And then sometime in May or June, you found out that you had started to insure the car.
I did insure the car. After,
when?
In May, after her mother told me that she was no longer carrying insurance on the car.
Okay, so you started to carry insurance
Yes.
on the car, even though you had no insurable interest in the car.
At that point, we felt like the car had been given to us. We had already tried to return the car several times. She said she had no use for the car.
Excuse me, Your Honor, that's a
Just a
lie.
minute, I'll get there. And at some point, about a month or so later, your husband had an accident with the car and it was totaled.
Yes.
And you got a check for how much?
$4,687.
Which you feel rightfully belongs to you.
Correct.
And you feel none of that belongs to her because it was your insurance policy.
Correct.
What do you think?
She gave us the car.
Stand up.
She gave us the car 3 years ago. We offered to give it back to her several times. She didn't want the car back. She had 2 cars and 1 driver.
Yes.
She had a Corvette.
Well, what did you say? I'm just curious. What did you say when you offered to give her the car back?
I said, here's the RAV back. You know, you can have it back. She said, no, keep it. Drive it. That's exactly her words.
Okay.
Keep it.
Now, why did you bring it over there?
Well, actually, I brought it over there to make sure that I wasn't encroaching upon her, to make sure that it was a gift, and if she wanted it back, she could have it back.
So you brought it back to her to see if you were encroaching?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Denton. When did you have the first conversation with regard to the estate settling and some papers that would necessarily have to be exchanged?
I found out that they had started to insure the car on June 17th. Up until that time, I carried full coverage insurance on the car.
Do you have any proof of
Yes,
that?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Put your hand down. Now, this car was a 1996 Toyota?
Yes.
It was insured until the 17th of June, 2004. Not May. It's insured until 17 June, 2004.
Okay.
Full coverage. So you are mistaken that the car was not insured after May. So whoever gave you the information was mistaken.
That would be their mother.
Well, I don't know who it was, but certainly you didn't verify that with her, right?
No, I did not.
Right.
What had happened was, Your Honor, because I had been paying the insurance the whole time, I would give the little cards to my mother, because she lives in the same town they do, to go and give to them, and I had given her the wrong card. And she looked at the date and told them that there must not be insurance on the car because it's expired. They got insurance without my knowledge.
I don't see how they could get insurance. They had no insurable interest in the car.
It was a gift.
You had no insurable interest in the car. That's a matter of law. The car is not in your name. It would be like you deciding that you like the look of Bird's car and saying, I'm going to take out insurance on his car just in case he has an accident. And if he has an accident, I can collect on his car. You have to have an insurable interest in the car. The car was not in your name. And it's not something that is worth family feuding over. Sir, you have to use common sense. If she gave you the car, then the common sense would be, I cannot transfer the title to you in this car until the estate is settled, and that may take several years. But I'm giving you the car. But while I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance too, because that would be stupid. Put your hand down, troublemaker. Do you understand, sir? I'm ignoring your wife because she is not related to this lady, and you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't care if she makes trouble, this one, but you should care if she makes trouble. If your sister was giving you the car as a gift, I would say to my brother, David, I want you to have this car. We can't do the paperwork on it right now. All you have to do is you take care of the maintenance, you take care of the insurance, you take care of all the expenses on the car, and at the appropriate time, I'll just transfer the title over to you. I would not say to him, I'm going to pay for all the expenses, including the insurance on the car.
She didn't pay for all the expenses.
The insurance! No, she's supposed to pay the expenses. I mean, something wrong with you? You look like a perfectly healthy man. Do you work? Are you employed?
Yes, yes, I am.
Then why should she pay for the expenses? You're driving. Listen to me. Listen what you did with your wife. You had the full use of a car for 2.5 years. You had it fixed when it needed to be fixed. You put gas and oil in the car. You did whatever you had to do. Somebody else paid for the insurance. Then, at the 11th hour, because your wife got some misinformation, you insured the car. You had not paid for the car. And you came into a windfall of almost $5,000 for something that wasn't yours. Listen to me, sir. Under your theory, if you had had the car in April, which you did, of 2004, and if you had had an accident and she was paying for the insurance at the time, who would have gotten the insurance money? I'm not asking, put your hand down.
She obviously would have gotten it.
Right. She would have gotten the money. Would you have sued her?
Her insurance would also pay
Ma'am,
for
listen to me.
Ma'am, I wouldn't sue a family member.
Right, because you would have done the right thing. And the right thing is, you don't come away with a windfall of almost $5,000, which is outrageous. Outrageous.
We did have medical expenses after the wreck.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
No, but her insurance would have paid it if she was carrying insurance.
Whose fault is that? Hers? If you had medical insurance, sir, nobody would have had to pay medical insurance for you. You would have had taken care of it with your medical coverage. And if you're a working person, I assume your wife is working. She looks like she's an able-bodied person. You should have medical insurance.
I'm a student.
She's a full-time student.
She's too old to be a full-time student if she has other responsibilities.
I am a full-time student.
Okay. You owe $4,687. Judgment for the plaintiff. No good deed goes unpunished, madam.
Thank you very much.
Why does that excuse me? Step out.
The last 4 months have been a strain, not just financially, but through the family and everything else.
The closeness of my family and the warmth and feeling of a brother and sister relationship.
Just being vindictive.
It was my car. I paid everything on it. They were borrowing the car.
She's being vindictive about a car she gave us.
It doesn't have anything to do with me being vindictive or anything else. I just wanted what was mine to be mine.
I think this whole thing was ridiculous.
The whole thing is upsetting to me.
If she would have just been a little bit more compromising, we would have never been here.
There's nothing else I could do. I'd already loaned them $3,500.
It's usually whatever makes Julie happy when she gets what she wants.
My sister did us a favor 3 years ago, and then 3 years later says, you owe me this.
My husband worked very hard for that vehicle and for everything that we had, and it's not theirs.
I don't have a sister anymore.
I agree with him. I don't have a brother anymore.
Planner Lisa Jefferson Brooks is suing her estranged husband's ex-girlfriend, loan officer Katie Lamphere, for the cost of a paternity test and for loans to keep Katie off the streets.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 401 on the calendar in the matter of Jefferson Brooks versus Lamphere. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Brooks, this is a very strange tale that I'm sure you're going to try to simplify for me. Miss Lamphere is the ex-girlfriend of your ex-husband, and for some strange and bizarre reason, you decided to become friends. She has a couple of children, I believe, one of whom your ex-husband was paying support for as his child. You allege in your complaint that you made a series of loans to your ex-husband's ex-girlfriend, and then you took one child for a paternity test without her permission. And the test established, according to you, that he was not the father of this child. And Miss Lamphere said, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm prepared to reimburse you for the cost of the test. That's what the case is about.
Basically.
Okay. First, when were you divorced?
Actually, my husband and I were still technically married, but in the state that we live in, you have to be separated for a year.
When did you separate?
2 months ago.
And when did you start making this series of loans to Miss Lampier?
At the end of July of this year.
Was he happy about you making loans to Miss Lampier?
I don't know that he was happy about it, but it was a situation where Miss Lampier and her children, she has 3 girls. At the end of May, they were being evicted from where they were living at. They relocated to the state where we were relocating to, which is my hometown. They really didn't have anywhere to go. She had secured a job, and we were keeping my husband's daughter and her sister.
Your husband's daughter is how old?
11.
Okay, so that child was living with you?
For 1 month. We kept them for 1 month.
Okay. Go ahead.
Her sister, who's 8 years old, is a little girl who Miss Lampier had alleged was his daughter. We were not paying support for Ashley. That's her name.
You were paying support for the 11-year-old?
Whatever arrangements he worked out with her, that was between the 2 of them. They had already had this child before we got married.
Which child, the 11-year-old or the 8-year-old, did you take for a paternity test?
The 8-year-old.
And how do you take a child for a paternity test without the mother?
That was during the time that she was staying with us.
Did she go too for the paternity test?
The mother did not go, no ma'am.
Well, how do you take a paternity test without both parents and the child?
The father and the child went, they took pictures, they took samples, and they ran the test.
Never heard that. Okay, let's get back to the loans. Tell me about the loans.
She was securing a place to stay for her and her children. She needed $2,000 to secure the place to live.
So tell me who she called, you or your husband?
She called me directly.
Had you been friendly before?
We were civil.
Civil?
Yes.
What did she say to you?
She said, I found a place to stay, and I need to borrow the money to secure it.
And you lent her the money?
That was the first loan.
How did you get the $2,000?
Lisa wired it from her bank account into the bank account from the people that I was renting the house from.
How did she know to do that?
In July, 2 of my children did go and stay with her husband and her. My oldest daughter is her husband's daughter, my 11-year-old. They went there for the summer. It was supposed to be during a summer vacation, and I did come across a very hard time, and I did have to move from Virginia back to South Carolina.
Okay.
So I went to South Carolina, and I had a job there, and I needed to find a home, obviously, and be able to have the money to move into it. And her husband had called me and said to me, listen, Katie, I know Lisa and I know you're going through a hard time. It's hard for us to have the girls here because both of us are working. You need to get set up in a house and get the kids back. So he had called me and told me that you find a house, we'll give you the money to move.
Did you ever say that to her?
Absolutely not, and it's impossible for
Just
Mr.
a second,
Brooks.
she never said that to you. Money came from her bank. She never said it to you. I don't believe that.
The money, though, was $1,700 was for back child support also.
No. She's not responsible for back child support.
That was the agreement. She had offered $1,700 to go towards his $30-some thousand of support that was owed.
Just a second. Who did she say that she was going to give $1,700 to?
Me.
When?
July, I believe it was around the 15th.
Is that right?
That's absolutely not true because the transaction, the wire did not take place until the end of July.
Okay. When did she tell you she was going to pay you back?
Within 6 weeks of the loan.
She told you that?
Yes, ma'am.
On the phone?
An email.
Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am.
It's clear that you acknowledged loans to her. Why are you making up a story?
I'm not making up a story. She did wire the money into an account.
It says, I promise I'll pay you back. It's me. I'm the pain in the butt again. I need to ask you one more favor.
To borrow $600. $1,700 was given to me.
By her?
Yes.
How ridiculous.
And Lisa, $1,700 was given to me.
And the paternity test?
When they called me and told me about the paternity test being done.
Yeah.
And they said, we took Ashley to have a paternity test.
Which was out of line. No question, which was out of line.
First of all, I was going through a very hard time in my life.
I don't care about your hard time. What I care about is whether or not you agreed to pay her back for the paternity test. I mean, I think it was nervy for her to take your daughter for a paternity test, but I'm asking you, did you agree to pay her back for the paternity test?
I did.
You did. I know you did, but that's not what you say in the answer.
I was devastated when I found out that they did that.
I tell you who else is devastated, your 8-year-old daughter.
No.
No? Guarantee you. Well, the results of the paternity test, he was clearly excluded as anyone who was possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have $510 for the paternity test, $2,000, and $600 that you needed for truck.
Yes, ma'am, but there's also the matter of $900 that's the $900 that she used to set up the card that she referenced in the email.
Is that right?
There was $600.
6 or 9?
It was $600.
Okay, going to give you a chance. Got 5 minutes.
May I say something about the paternity test? My daughter's birth certificate has her biological father's name on it. Her husband knew that that birth certificate had another name on it. We had discussed the possibility of him actually being the biological father, and we had reasons behind that. They took my daughter and had the paternity test. I didn't ask for them to do that. He had never mentioned to me about having the paternity test at that time. I was told after they went to do it. I did say in the email, I will pay back the $600 because I was upset and devastated, but I don't feel at this time they had the right to take my daughter without me at least being there with her.
You're absolutely right. I think it was the wrong thing to do. But you agreed to pay for the test. Other than the fact that you agreed to pay for it, I would not find you at fault and order you to pay it. But you agreed to pay for it. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,710. What caused you to separate from your husband?
It was a series of things. It really didn't have anything to do with Miss Lamphere.
How long were you married to him?
It'll be 9 years this month.
And she filed this against me after they separated.
So?
She offered $1,700 of that money to me.
Let me ask you this question. Think logically. Why would a perfect stranger support you and your children? And why would you take from a perfect stranger?
She's not.
And she's a perfect stranger to you. She is not related to you by blood, and she's not related to you by marriage at all. She doesn't owe you anything. Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,710.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This was the first little bit of help that I would have gotten from them.
It wasn't for Miss Lamphere, it was for her children.
I was in a state of devastation.
It's just too much drama.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Birch. Step forward.
20-year-old student Kimberly Johnson is suing her former friend, 22-year-old retail manager Michael Birch, for bailing him out of jail when he was arrested for unpaid traffic tickets.
Ms. Johnson, according to your complaint, Mr. Birch owes you for a loan. The loan was for bail money.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Birch says it was a nice gesture, but there was never a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's up to me to find out the truth, right?
You're right.
Because I know the truth. So I have a few questions for you, Mr. Birch. What were you in jail for?
Traffic.
What, you were making traffic?
No, a ticket, unpaid ticket.
Huh?
Unpaid ticket.
An unpaid traffic ticket? What kind of traffic tickets?
More than one.
Look, don't look down. Look over here, because, Mr. Birch, let's go back a second. How many children are in your family?
I have 2 brothers, 1 sister.
And where does your mom live?
My mom lives in Georgia.
Is she a good mom?
Yes.
You think your mother is a truth machine? Could your mother always tell when the children were telling a lie or telling the truth? She's smart?
Not all the time.
I am. How long were you in jail for a traffic ticket?
Not 4 or 5 hours.
And tell me how you came to be placed in jail.
Well, there was a warrant for my arrest, which I didn't know about.
And what was the nature of your traffic infraction, sir?
Unpaid park tickets. I ran a couple lights in a hurry. Speeding, a couple cases.
Now, how old were these tickets, Mr. Birch?
One was maybe a year old.
Why didn't you pay it?
Time passed by. I cut it in the moment.
So I assume at some point they revoked your license.
Yes.
And when was that?
Around March.
And you continued to drive the car?
Yes.
Which you know is a crime.
Yes.
In what month were you finally stopped?
July.
Now, how do you know Miss Johnson?
Best friends for like 3 or 4 years.
How did you meet her?
I met her at the movies one night. Led to a very great relationship with her and I. Best friends for 4 years. I would say more than just a best friend relationship, as in we were like brothers, sisters.
Good. So that when you were arrested in July because you were a deadbeat with regard to these assorted violations involving your car, how many phone calls were you allowed?
I can make the phone calls out from a jail as many as I want.
How many did you make?
I made 1.
Who did you make it to?
My best friend Kim.
Did you ask her how she was feeling?
No.
Did you say, did you have a good day?
No.
Did Did you say, I'm in jail?
Yes.
Did you say, can you bail me out?
No.
Did she say, how can I help you?
Yes.
Now, when you called her, Mr. Birch, from jail, I want you to try to think and get into yourself, sir. What did you hope would happen?
That she'd be there for me like best friends are supposed to do.
But I don't need any editorializing. You called her because you wanted her to bail you out.
Yes.
Now, these weren't her parking tickets, were they?
No.
She wasn't driving with a suspended license, was she?
No.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Birch?
I work at a retail store, fashion design, clothing.
And before that, what were you doing?
I worked for Singular Wireless.
What did Miss Johnson do for a living?
Miss Johnson currently in school. She also worked at a swimming facility. She was a swim teacher.
So she was supporting herself while she was going to school and paying for school?
Yes.
What I want to know is, why would you think that somebody should spend $500 to get you out of a predicament that you got yourself into when she is supporting herself, trying to better herself by going to school, and you're doing nothing but taking care of yourself?
Well, it's not about whether she would do it. And in this case, your best friends, regardless if it's she or a male, you're supposed to be there for your best friend regardless of the situation it is. In this case, and since she's a girl, I'm assuming that she is innocent. No, I didn't make her pay this money. I didn't put a gun to her head. She chose to. This is my best friend.
I want you to look at his face. Do you know how disgusted he is with you? I think it's very nice that she took out the money from her ATM, from her bank account, or wrote out money, a check from her checking account, or borrowed money from her line of credit to go down to make sure that you didn't spend more than 5 hours in jail. And the next thing that should have happened was that you go to your ATM, to your line of credit, to your checking account, take out the money and say, thanks for being there for me as my friend, and here's the money back. Don't you get that? Don't you get that? $500?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, that's all.
What is that excuse when they step out?
Shouldn't have gone any other way. Fair. Now it's over with. I'm very pleased with the decision.
Things happen in life, some things you can't control, but in this case I could have controlled.
I was told the excuse that I had $200 coming to me, and he went to church and got so moved by the Lord that he had to give it to church instead of giving it to me.
My religion is very important to me. My tithe testimony to God is very important also. In that case, that's where the money went to.
I acknowledge the fact that we were friends, and I was there when nobody else was there for him.
Made a bad decision, lost a best friend, and that's that.
This was somebody that I was friends with, and now it's nothing over money.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Butler versus Owens. Step forward, please.
24-year-old law student Camilla Butler is suing her former roommate, personal banker Nicole Owens, for breaking a lease and unpaid bills. Nicole says she gave Camilla ample notice.
Miss Butler, you and Miss Owens were roommates. You claim she moved out prematurely, owing you 2 months' rent. The 2 months were for the months that you were not going to be there, but you claim an agreement that she would pay rent until the end of May. You also claim she owes some bills. She said she gave you 3 weeks' notice, and she left her $250 security deposit with you. That more than covers any outstanding bills. That's your defense. When did you move in together?
Your Honor, we moved in together on January 22nd. That's when we agreed to move in together over the phone.
Okay. Now, you moved into an apartment that you had or she had, or that was a brand new apartment?
It was a brand new apartment for both of us.
Good. Can I see the lease, please?
Absolutely.
Who found the apartment, Miss Butler?
The defendant and I agreed to move into the apartment one day. Gage and I went up to Long Beach to...
So you looked at it together for the first time?
We found it separate. I'm sorry. I found it alone.
And you signed the lease alone?
She did not sign the lease, however...
That means that she is not a signatory to the lease. If she did not sign the lease, madam, then she is not responsible under this lease. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this is not the lease on the contract that you are suing on. You're suing on a contract that you had with her, according to you, to live in the apartment until the end of May.
That's correct, Your Honor. It was an
Good.
oral agreement.
And may I see that agreement?
It was not in writing. It was oral, Your Honor.
Well, tell me about the oral agreement that you think is binding.
Okay. We agreed orally over the telephone to move in together. We agreed on an apartment together orally, and we agreed orally that she would sign the lease that evening.
But she never did.
That's true. She never did sign the lease.
Okay, Ms. Owens, let me hear what happened on the 22nd of January.
I never said I would move in and stay there until May. I never made an oral agreement that I would sign the lease that night. None of that ever happened.
Well, when she called you, did she tell you how long a lease she had to sign?
It was month to month.
This is a month-to-month lease.
Yes, Your Honor, it is. However, we agreed together, separately, outside of the lease agreement, that we would be living together until May 31st.
She didn't want to live with you after March.
Yes, she did tell me March 10th that she was entertaining the idea of moving out. At that day, we talked about it. I said, that's fine if you want to move out. That's fine with me. However, if you choose to move out, you need to make sure that you find somebody to move in your place. She agreed.
That's not true.
Well,
no, that's not true. You're not responsible for the lease in April or May. You could have given your landlord notice and moved. You chose to stay there.
However, we did agree that we would live together until the end of May.
Listen, people get married and they agree to live together till death do us part. 50% of those people go their own way. Just because you agree doesn't mean that she has to stay there. Now, what about her security deposit?
We haven't gotten the security deposit back since I guess the landlord is still in the process of cleaning the apartment and, I guess, seeing what needs to be done.
But you had $250 in security deposit?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, what bills do you say she left when she left?
There was a gas bill for February, electric bill for February, garage rental for March, gas bill for March, and also there were 10 days of rent between January 22nd and January 31st, where apparently we didn't pay for it in February, so we had to pay it later, and Nicole never paid that part.
So let me have those figures, please.
Okay. Your Honor, would it be okay for Gage to testify about the conversations he had with Nicole?
Sure. Last name?
Duran.
I'm ready to hear you.
Essentially what happened is Nicole said, I'm just going to leave, and that's the end of the story, and that she gave Camilla her 30 days notice, but the landlord required that 30 days notice.
Well, let me tell you, I've looked over your damages. Your damages, you say, were $1,129.83. If you deduct April's garage rental, because she wasn't there in April, and if you deduct the $850 in rent, comes out to exactly $249, and she's got $250 in security deposit. So really the only issue is it reasonable for Ms. Owens to pay you 1 month's rent to have given you a full 30 days notice of her intention to leave? Do you think it was reasonable for you to give her 1 month's notice, 30 days notice?
I didn't even know until 3 weeks prior that I would be moving out.
That's not her fault.
I know.
That's your fault.
That. Yeah,
that's your fault. And 30 days notice is not unreasonable, because if she were to give the landlord 30 days notice pursuant to the lease, then she could have, I don't care if she went home to live with her mother. I don't care if she went home to live with this guy. I don't care if she goes into a shelter. That's not the issue. The issue is you had to do the right thing and give her 30 days notice, which you didn't do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I understand that.
So, minimally, you owe her $425, which is your half of the rent for 1 month. And the rest of the bills is more than covered by her security. You left the place pretty clean?
Oh, yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $425. That's all.
Step out, please.
Her boyfriend recently totaled her car, so I'm sure she needed money to fix whatever problem she had with that.
Oh, that's certainly not the case at all. My insurance covered the car. It was not a problem.
It went well. I'm just glad I didn't have to talk a lot.
Judge Judy cleared it all up for us.
Perry Schultz for medical bills, moving expenses, and harassment. Renee claims the Schultzes not only got her evicted, but they caused physical harm to her baby.
Come to order, all rise. Now, this is case number 39 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Schultz. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Bishop, you and your family were renters in a 4-unit complex, according to what I read in your complaint. The other 3 apartments or condos were occupied by owners.
Right.
And it is your claim that the defendants did several things. First, they told untruths to the cooperative association and therefore your landlord.
Yes.
Causing you to be evicted.
Yes.
And next, you allege that the defendants, one or both of them, put needles in your laundry, which got into your baby's pajamas, which caused injury to the baby.
But
shh, shh. And you want to be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that they did not put any needles in your laundry on purpose. If needles got into the laundry because Mrs. Schultz is a diabetic,
yes,
does use needles.
No.
No.
Doesn't use needles.
No.
Okay, interesting. And in addition, that whatever statements they made to the landlord, your landlord, were true, and if you were evicted, it was because of your own conduct. That's their defense. I just want to check something. Well, I'm reading your answer, Mr. Schultz, and your answer says, my wife is diabetic, and when the plaintiff's husband brought the lancets to me...
There's a difference between lancets and needles.
Oh, okay, lancets.
Okay, yes.
So I used the wrong word. Lancets.
Lancets.
When plaintiff's husband brought lancets to me, he said he found them in the washer. My wife is diabetic, but they did not look like the lancets my wife used. So we're using a different term.
Right,
Needles,
right. Well, there
lancets.
is a difference between lancets and needles.
Okay. When did you move in, Mrs. Bishop, with your family?
August of 2003.
And how many members were there in your family?
3, myself, my husband, and my baby.
How old is your baby?
1 year and 4 months.
Did you have trouble with Mr. and Mrs. Schultz or any of the other neighbors when you moved in?
Just the Schultz. No, the other neighbors were very kind and friendly, normal neighbors.
What happened with Mr. and Mrs. Schultz?
I think the first month or two was fine. We were friends.
Well, actually, it was...
I didn't ask you anything yet.
Mr. Schultz was very kind and helpful, showing us where the things were, telling us how things ran around there, like he was a
That was the
landlord.
first month or two?
First month or two. I understood from the neighbor in number 2, Tammy.
Don't tell me anything that a neighbor told you.
Okay, I understood she needed a kidney. So I went up and offered her a kidney and asked her what blood type she was. She said she was blood type AB. And we
But
talked
I'm
about
not.
it.
So, this is good.
To my best recollection. Anyways,
Go ahead.
So, just things started happening where the laundry park problems. They parked in a, his truck is very big, it's a Bronco, and it's blocked our space. When we moved in, we asked him several times to please move it. We can't get our car in the garage. Here's a violation of that was written on my car because his car was parked in my space, so I had to scoot my car over the line. So I was ticketed because they called on me after we asked them to move the car and complained to the landlord.
Mr. Schultz, did you and the plaintiff and or her husband ever have a conversation with... Could you stand up and take your hand off your head?
I'm sorry?
Did you and the plaintiff or her husband ever have a conversation with regard to your truck encroaching on their parking space?
No, not...
Never.
No.
Never.
No.
Your Honor?
No.
And actually...
However, excuse me, Your Honor, however, though, I did quite a few times ask them if they could move their car over because I couldn't get into my car, and she is...
Now, just one second.
Okay.
So there was a problem.
There was a problem.
Now, when there was a problem, it was because their car was parked too close to the line, yet their car was parked within their lines. But you have a very large car, and in order for you to get in and out of your spot, you wanted them to move their car further over.
To the other line.
I understand. Your wife is answering the question, sir. I mean, you know, I understand. She understands what I'm saying. You may want to give me a lot of baloney, but I'm not going to tolerate it. You asked them to move their car to the other side because you have a very large car and it was difficult for you to get in and out of your car. Is that a fair statement?
That would be a fair statement.
That's a fair statement. Okay. And what I assume happened is you parked it as close to the line as you possibly could. Is that what you're telling me?
Not necessarily, but
Not necessarily. Let me see the pictures. I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir.
There's a picture
I'm
of
10
his
steps
Bronco,
ahead of you.
And here's the rules and regulations.
You know, fortunately, we all come to our jobs, Mr. Schultz, with a life's experience.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, well, in this case, you may not be.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her former condo neighbors, Michelle and Perry Schultz, put needles into a laundry dryer, causing injury to her baby. Renee also claims the Schultzes lied to the landlord and got her evicted.
Let's get to the rest of the complaints that were made, because that's what you're alleging. Let's get there, and let's get there fast.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the Lancets.
Okay.
What?
May I ask my
May
witness
I-
to come up and explain?
Absolutely. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Brett Bishop.
Okay. Do you have the complaints?
No, we do not have the complaints.
Well, then how am I supposed to adjudicate that
we
part of
were
your
not
claim?
able to get them from our landlord in time.
Well, then, yeah, I have to strike that part of your claim.
Okay, then I have nothing in that regard.
Good. Fine. And let's get to the needles incident.
I went out to get the baby's laundry out of the dryer. And
When was this?
January 29th. And found needles in the dryer. And I came back in the house and called my husband, and he told me that they might be hers because she's diabetic.
Okay. Do you have any of them with you?
Yes.
And this was before you put any clothes on the baby?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Similar of what the needles look like.
You see, what you state in your complaint is that your baby was uncomfortable, and the next morning you found needles in her pajamas. Then you went down to the laundry and you found needles. Now you tell me that on the 29th of January, you went down to the dryer and found needles in the dryer.
I got the needles out of the dryer, and I came back into the house and called the police.
Yes.
My husband came home at the same time.
Yes.
And he can pick it up from there.
The police officer went and spoke with Mrs. Schultz.
Listen to me. Were you there when the police officer spoke to Mrs. Schultz?
I was not in his presence. He spoke to her on her balcony. We waited in the house. He came down and told us what she said.
That's hearsay. I'll look at a police report if you have it.
Yeah, we have a police report. In that police report, she admits that the needles were hers. Sorry.
Now, according to the police report, I'm just telling you what the police report says.
Okay.
It says that you advised the police that the needles were left in your clothing by accident. I got it. What's next?
We have photographs of the needle, and we did not know that where the needle came from, where the scratches came from originally.
I don't know what scratches you're talking about, Matt. I have no clue as to what scratches you're
We found
talking
a
about.
needle later in my baby's diaper. After we phoned the police, we discovered that the scratches that were on her that were not on the
I have no idea what you're talking about, madam.
Right.
I asked you, tell me about the incident involving the needles.
Okay.
And you told me on the 29th of January you found needles in the laundry. And now you're talking to me about scratches, and I have no clue as to what you're talking about.
On the 28th night, I put my baby to bed. In the morning when she woke up, my husband... What are you telling me?
On the 9th, we put our baby to bed. I usually put the baby to bed, and she had no scratches to her labia area. She was very fussy that night. We thought she was teething. The next morning when I got up to take her to the nanny, I noticed when I was changing her, she had a dirty diaper, so I wiped her up, and I noticed that there were scratches to her vagina area. We have pictures.
What kind of diapers do you use?
Pampers.
Well, how could she have scratches to her vaginal area?
That's where we're getting at, is the whole reason why we're here is the needles that this lady put in our laundry somehow got into our baby's diaper, scratched up her labia. We have pictures to document that. We have pictures of the needles, and our emergency room doctor
We dug through the diaper pail.
saw those.
We have a diaper pail we keep the diapers in, and after discussing with the officer and finding out the needles 2 weeks later that she has got scratched from, we assumed we better look through the old diapers that we keep in the pail, which we have pictures of the diaper pail and the needle in the dirty diaper. So that's how we didn't know where the scratches
But you
came
don't put
from.
diapers in the wash.
Where's she?
So we put 2 and 2 together and took her to the emergency room, and they wrote the report that needles stick to the labia, and they did the HIV test on her, hepatitis testing. And
So what you're telling me is, I mean, I don't know what these pictures show, madam. You're showing me a picture of a dirty diaper with a blue needle in it. Is that what you're showing me you found?
Yes.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that 2 weeks later you kept dirty diapers in a pail.
The baby goes to the nanny Monday through
Let
Friday
me explain
because I'm
something to you,
disabled.
madam. I do not believe that you kept dirty diapers in a pail from January 9th to January 30th. I don't believe it. It doesn't make sense. And I'm not crazy about their attitude, especially his. I'm not sure about hers yet, but especially his. But if you think you're going to parlay that into a monetary award, you are wrong, because I do not believe this evidence, which is a 2-week-old diaper that you kept in a pail in her room and happened to open it up and found within the diaper that your husband said he changed on the 9th of January, a blue needle that he overlooked. I don't buy it.
It was
My problem is that 3 weeks later or 2.5 weeks later, when you found this, you took your child to the emergency room?
Mm-hmm.
What date did you take the child to the emergency room?
The 29th.
29th. So what you're telling me is you didn't see the problem on the 9th.
Yes, we did.
Well, show me what you did.
I took her to my doctor for shots. 2 days later, she had a date for shots. There's red
Good.
marks on the
Let
buttocks.
me see. Let me see. 2 days later, let me see what the report says. Well, infant.
Red marks on
Red
buttock.
mark on buttock. That's not what your husband just told me. Your husband told me that she had needle punctures on her labia. Listen, what do you think? I was born yesterday. Your case is dismissed. They may have not been good neighbors, and they may have done a lot of things that were nasty to you, but you're not going to parlay that. My only problem is you did take the child 2.5 weeks later to an emergency room where somebody found a needle prick on the child. My question is, how did it get there 2.5 weeks later when it wasn't on the doctor's report 2 days after what you allege is the incident?
Because
that causes me a great deal of concern.
They've
Not
been in our
from
laundry
them,
more than
but
one
from
time.
you. Your case is dismissed.
Your Honor,
Step out.
thank you, Your Honor.
Out.
Thank you. I didn't put the lancets in the washer or the dryer.
They just started turning psycho and messing with our cars, cutting our vehicles up, all kinds of stuff.
We've lived there 8 years, never had a problem with anybody until they moved in.
I think because they're just really jealous. Their kid's autistic, unfortunately.
So does that mean I'm jealous of every normal child in this world? I don't think so.
He used to tell us all the time, oh, you're so lucky to have a healthy baby. She's so beautiful. She's so this, she's so that. And I think there was a fine line between jealousy and hatred.
That's just a farce. I mean, they're just reaching, you know. Desperate people will do desperate things, you know, and they're desperate.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shirley versus Edwards step forward.
Financial officer Ron Shirley is suing the father of his son's friend, private detective Rick Edwards, for the cost to fix his Honda Del Sol. Ron says Rick's son, Clayton, crashed it into a gate.
Tell me your first name.
Scott,
How old are you, Scott?
17.
Clayton, 16.
And these are your fathers.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
According to what I read, Scott, you were out driving your father's car, with your father's permission, I assume?
That's correct.
And you let Clayton drive your father's car.
Yes.
Clayton had an accident while driving your father's car, and Mr. Shirley, you want Clayton and his father to be responsible for the damage caused while Clayton was behind the wheel of the car.
That's correct.
Mr. Edwards says it is not his son's fault, and therefore he is not responsible for the damage. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Scott, tell me when this accident happened.
Last year, August 13th, I think.
Who was in your dad's car?
It was me on the passenger side, and he was driving.
How did it come about that he was driving?
He asked me if he can drive my car home, and I
Is
said,
that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you say?
I said, okay.
What happened, Clayton?
I first got in, and then as we were driving away, I pushed the brakes, and then it didn't make the car stop. And then by the time I realized that the brakes weren't going, I tried to swerve, and I hit a gate into a pole. And then after we looked down, we looked at the accelerator was stuck under the floor mat. That's how the car crashed.
And what happened at that point, Clayton?
Me and Scott talked it over, and then
What do you mean you talked it over?
we talked about the situation about me being only 15 at the time and me not having a license or insurance.
When you talked it over, what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I recall saying that I was 15 at the time and did not have insurance and that we should switch spots and that I'd pay him back any way I can.
So you said to Scott, let's lie to the police.
I told them to switch spots.
You told him to switch spots for the purpose of lying to the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And Scott said?
He reluctantly said yes.
When you say he reluctantly said yes, what does that mean?
Because we were both scared at the time, we didn't know what to do. So then we both agreed to do that because I said I'd pay him back any way I could.
So when the police came, you did lie to the police, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Scott?
And then, like, my parents paid for all the damages. It turned out to be a lot of money, so I decided that to tell my parents the truth.
And Mr. Shirley, you contacted Mr. Edwards?
I did.
And what happened when you contacted Mr. Edwards?
He suggested that we would do more harm for the boys than good by amending the police report, and that he would honor the damages to the car and offer to pay for them.
Is that right?
That's basically right, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
Well, after about 24 hours, I thought it through and decided that that was not a position I wanted to take. I didn't want to foster a false police report, and I brought my son to the police, and we corrected the report.
Absolutely the right thing to do. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, my son was arrested for false information to a police officer, a misdemeanor. He's been on probation and had to do community service.
And Clayton, what happened to you as a result of this debacle on the 13th of August?
Police officer came to my house and he changed the report and said that I got a ticket for unlicensed driver. I went to court and paid the fine. And then my father dealt with me, and I'm still on corporal punishment as we speak.
You're on corporal punishment? You mean he beats you every day?
No.
That's corporal punishment, sir. You're not on capital punishment, right?
No. Not yet.
You're on corporal punishment, which means that your father takes you downstairs and beats you every day?
No.
Capital punishment? That would be capital.
No, that's corporal. That's corporal, sir. Corporal punishment.
Well, my version would be capital. Well, I get that.
Well, I'd like to know what you did to your son, sir.
He's being punished in various ways.
Well, give me an example.
By cutting off money, making him work harder than he ever has.
Does he drive a car?
He drives a car back and forth to school and to baseball games, yes, ma'am.
What kind of car does he drive?
A truck.
How many cars do you have in your family?
4.
So he has the use of this truck by himself?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's not much of a punishment.
There's
and
more.
he did, shh. Bottom line is he got a ticket.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did it cost you, Mr. Shirley, to fix the car and to fix the gate?
Well, the gate was covered by insurance. Unfortunately, that's a claim on our insurance. That was around $8,000 or $9,000. The car itself was over $3,000.
And your son now has an arrest, and he's doing community service.
Right.
And he's on probation.
Correct.
I feel balanced to you, Mr. Edwards?
I'm sorry. One more time, Your Honor.
Does that feel balanced to you?
It doesn't feel that bad to me, Your Honor.
Let me try to give it to you again, Mr. Edwards, because you don't look like a bad guy.
I don't think
I don't think you are either. I just think that maybe you're an overindulgent, overly protective parent, but maybe just overly protective of your pocketbook. But I want to give you a scenario, and you tell me if you think that these are equal. Where were you born, sir?
California.
You had to think about that? You had no idea where you were born?
I was trying to think of the city.
You were born in the state of California,
yes.
the United States of America.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Scott, where were you born?
China.
And when did you come to the United States of America?
3 years ago.
And this happened last year, is that right?
Yes.
So that you were here for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. So you have somebody born in the state of California, someone here for 2 years. You say, let's lie to the police. According to you, reluctantly, because you gave them a little bit of a pressure, because you knew you were going to have real trouble if you were caught behind the wheel of the car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. You said, we're going to tell the police that you were driving. Scott said, all right, maybe I'll get in trouble if I let you drive. So he said, okay. He fessed up because it bothered him that his family had to spend all this money, and he, in his heart, knew that he wasn't the one driving. So in his head, he said, well, I'm really not responsible. He's partially responsible because he shouldn't have let you drive the car. But initially, you promised to pay for the damage, right?
Yes, and it wasn't quick enough as he would like.
Well, he expected you to go to your father and say to your father, listen, I did the wrong thing. I promised I'd pay for the damage, Dad. Could you lend me the money and I'm going to work it off? That's what it means by keeping your word. But you didn't go to your father right away, did you?
We thought that was the best thing. Me and Scott talked about.
Don't tell me what you thought was the best. You chose to do nothing. You have somebody who was more wrong than not, who has suffered no consequence whatsoever. He's driving around in a truck, all his own. According to you, despite the fact that he says he's subjected to corporal punishment every day, you say he's got to work a little bit harder than he used to.
Much harder.
Well, he should work a lot harder, sir, because he should pay you back the money that I'm going to order you to pay, because your son is at least partially responsible. And in my view, I have to attribute the cost of this act between the two of you. Now, your out-of-pocket expenses for the car were $3,000, and you would agree that your son is at least partially responsible for letting him drive the car. And believe me, you know the excuse of the brake pad got caught under the rug? You know that excuse? That's the other excuse? I don't buy it. So when you do the wrong thing, you have to fess up and pay up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. I believe that $500 of that has to be absorbed by your son for his bad judgment in letting somebody else drive your car. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Why is that excused? You may step out.
Well, I thought Judge Judy was fair, and she understood that the responsibility was more the driver than the passenger.
Judge Judy is a wonderful judge, and I really respect her opinion.
I learned my lessons. I'll never do anything like that again.
I hope this can get all behind us, and me and Scott can still be friends.
Bill collector Carol Pratt is suing her former live-in boyfriend, staffing agent James Moulton, for unpaid rent, a broken video camera, and the return of a snake.
Yeah, this is case number 308 on the calendar, the matter of Pratt versus Moulton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Pratt, how many kids do you have?
Total of 3.
How many live with you?
2.
How old are they?
14 and 9.
This is the 14-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
What's his name?
Michael Edward.
And how old is the third
She's
child?
9. Oh, the oldest one is 21.
So she's out of the home?
He's
out of the home?
Yes.
How long did you know Mr. Moulton before he moved in with you and your 2 children?
About a month.
And why did he move in with you?
He wasn't able to pay his rent, and we wanted to join finances so we can both afford to live in my house that I own.
When he came to live with you, did he come to live with you as a boyfriend?
At first, yes.
What do you mean at first? So were you sharing a room with him?
Yes.
So you knew him 1 month before he moved in?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he have any children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
2.
Who did they live with?
Us.
So you moved in together, blended your families after knowing each other for a month. You now have 4 children living in the house. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And the 2 of you. And when was it that he moved in?
About a month after we met each
Give me
other.
the month.
That would have been in November.
Of 2003?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did he stay in your home?
Until the end of February of 2004.
And at that point you say he left owing you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
That he took some property that didn't belong to him when
Yes,
he
ma'am.
left? And he also took your son's snake and mice, and you want them back?
Yes.
And broke camera?
Yes.
Whole bunch of stuff. Okay. He left in February of 2004?
Yes.
Tell me why he moved out in February.
We weren't getting along.
Just that. You just weren't getting along. There were no major battles in February.
Yes, there were. There was a lot of battles.
What happened in February, sir?
Well, Your Honor, it was prior to that. It was more like after Christmas. I received custody of my children from domestic violence. When I brought them into her home, her children were very violent to her and to me and to my kids. And as a father, I cannot put my kids in that situation. That is why I left.
Okay, fine.
There was no agreement when I moved in about paying rent.
No, I didn't ask you anything else.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not your case yet, sir. It will get there. Because, Mr. Moulton, you're not going to tell me that a man who has custody of his 2 children moves in with a lady who has custody of her 2 children and expects somebody else to take care of him and his responsibility. Now, I don't want you to even answer that question, sir, until you think about it a minute.
I don't need to think about it. The answer is absolutely not.
Good. So I just want to make sure that that was not your agreement. I don't speak of an opportunity. Now, so he left in February. Now, he moved in November.
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to his moving in, did you have an agreement with regard to the household expenses?
He told me that he would pay half of everything, and that he would never treat me the way my exes treated me, and that he would be responsible and take care of his obligations.
Good. So he made some sort of general statement that he would take care of his obligations. So how much money did he contribute to the household in November?
He only helped with food.
When you say he helped with food, what do you mean he helped?
He paid for half of it, and I paid for half of it.
Okay. And did you have a discussion with him in November that this wasn't what you had agreed to?
More or less in December. He did originally have a job when he started. The first week he lost his car because it broke down, then he lost his job because of it. I even gave him my car, and he would drop us off at daycare and work, and he would try to look for a job, but he didn't have money for gas, so I had to put all the gas in the car also, besides paying for the insurance and for the $315 that I pay monthly on my
Okay, it's just a second. So he lost his job. You lost your job. Is that right?
I was laid off prior to moving in.
When did you get a job?
January, I believe it was, delivering flowers. And I was using my car because I had bought a car.
When did you buy a car?
In January.
With what?
I received unemployment and child support from my wife, which is what I paid for it.
How much money did you receive in child support?
I received $300 a month from my 2 children.
And how much did you receive from unemployment?
$125 a week.
So about $800 a month.
That's correct.
And you were receiving $800 a month starting in November.
Absolutely.
And how much did you spend on your living?
I contributed most of my money to her in the household.
How much each month?
I probably kept $50 a week for myself and bought a case of diapers for my daughter.
Yes.
And I paid for all the food.
How did you then buy the car?
Money from my wife. Other money. I had this money. I saved some money. I had money before I moved in with her.
How much money did you have?
The car was $99 down.
How much money did you have?
A few $100.
You're talking fast, sir.
A few $100.
When he wasn't giving you money towards the mortgage and he wasn't giving you any money towards the rest of the household expenses but paying for half the food, did you have discussions with him periodically about money?
Yes, we did, and he kept telling me that to leave it go, that he would take care of it, just quit bringing it up, but he knows he owes it.
Okay. Now, when he left in February, what kind of a discussion did you have with him about the expenses and the money he owed you?
He agreed on $500 a month, and I told him, what about the phone bill, because he was calling his ex-wife on long-distance charges that I wasn't supposed to pay for.
Just a second. So he agreed to give you $500 a month
Yes, ma'am.
for the 3 months that he lived there?
$500 a month, yes.
But he did not give you the $500
No, he did
a month.
not.
And this is after he already moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound familiar, Mr. Moulton?
No, ma'am. I had no agreement with her. When I told her I was leaving because I did not want my children in the violent atmosphere
I understand that.
any
She
longer,
says that after you left, you had a discussion with her because she racked up large phone bills talking to your ex-wife and a lot of other expenses, and she says you agreed to give her $500 a month for the time that you were there with your children, and that you would pay for it out of your tax returns, but then you didn't get your tax returns right away.
It's not true. I agreed. I told her I paid her what I paid her, and that was it. There would be no more money given to her.
All right,
I fulfilled my obligations to her. My priority was to get my children out of that violent situation.
I heard what you said about your priority. I heard. Now, what items did he take from the house that you say didn't belong to him?
Whenever he moved in, he threw out my bike, which meant a lot to me. I had it since I was
He threw out what he moved
an
in?
antique bike.
You said when he moved in, he threw out your bike?
Yeah, when he moved in, he started going through all my stuff, throwing out everything that he thought I didn't need and I didn't use. He threw out my furniture. He threw out some of my items.
You should have thrown him out if you didn't want him to do it.
She asked me to help her organize her house.
Just a second. Do I look like I need help?
No, ma'am.
If you didn't want him to throw away these things, Miss Pratt, and he was throwing them away when he moved in, you should have thrown them out. You didn't do that. Now you don't come and sue him.
He had two small children.
Do you understand? You don't come and sue him after the fact.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Carol Pratt says former live-in boyfriend James Moulton owes for rent, a broken video camera, and the return of a snake. James says he moved out because Carol's children are violent.
Let's get to the snake, because I see we don't have anything there.
Well, after he moved out and that my son was giving me a hard time, so I grounded him from the snake for a week, and I asked him to hold on to the snake and to the mice in the cages, and I gave him food and the bedding for them, and I said it will be a week. When I went back to get it a week later, he told me it either died or he froze, and he gave me different excuses every time I seen him.
What happened to the snake?
She asked me to take the snake. I took the snake and the mice to my house. The snake got away out the back door. I had the mouse. It wasn't or will you watch this, or will you babysit this snake until my son gets out of boot camp? It was, do you want the snake? Yes, I do. She put it in my car. I took it home. Months later, she wants the snake back. It's gone.
How long did you have it?
4 months.
You had it for 4 months?
I begged for 4 months to get it back.
Okay, next.
Well, when we were living together, he was drinking too much. That's why my son was getting upset. My children had a hard time with him because of the type of friends he was hanging out with. He was bringing...
Just tell me, I'm not interested. Listen, you want to go on, some of you go on Dr. Phil if you want to talk about your problems. I don't want to talk about your problems. I want you to tell me, this is a court. What does he owe you?
$1,650.
For what?
For living expenses, for the utilities, the phone bill that was over, for gas, for using my vehicle when he used it for the months that he didn't have a car.
Stop being a baby.
Your Honor.
Stop being a baby. The relationship didn't work out. He's not going to pay you for putting gas in the car. I believe that you had an agreement that he would pay for half of the expenses. Here you are living, your 2 children, his 2 children, and he can't live rent-free. He can't live utility-free. And he receives, in addition to that, he receives child support and unemployment insurance. So he receives $800 a month.
And I didn't know about the unemployment.
Well, he received, according to him, $800 a month. And if what you believe and what he agreed to pay was $500 a month, that's perfectly reasonable, leaving him $300 a month for extra expenses, and that's without a job. And certainly if you got a job in January, sir, delivering flowers, you could have gotten a job Christmas time delivering flowers, too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jealousy?
Jealousy? No.
She's jealous that I'm with another woman and won't be with her.
There's no jealousy. Sorry, Jim.
All parties, please step forward.
Precious Stewart is suing hairstylist Karani Thomas for damages from a wig installation.
Ms. Stewart, you're complaining that the defendant who tried to restyle or reinstall a wig that you had recently purchased did a terrible job. And in addition to doing a terrible job, she tried to fix it, and then she didn't return it to you.
Exactly.
So you want the cost of the wig.
And the install.
And what?
And the install.
And the $200 that you charge you for the installation of the wig. Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation. Okay, you purchased this wig when?
I purchased a wig on February 12th.
Of what year?
2022.
Can I see the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you paid $697 for it?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you bought wigs from this particular outlet?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you install the wig that you purchased?
The first time that I installed it was March 3rd.
What did you do with it between the 12th and the 3rd?
You said between the 12th?
12th of February and March 3rd.
Well, she had it.
Who had it?
The lady.
The other lady?
Yes.
What did she do with it?
She just held it in because she installed it for me the first time.
Not understanding me. You purchased it on February 12th?
Yes.
Did you use it or did you not use it between February 12th and March? Didn't use it. So the first time it was installed was March 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have other wigs?
Yes, ma'am.
That you use regularly? The first time it was installed, according to you, it didn't look right. And you thereafter contacted the defendant. Had you ever used her services before?
No. We proceeded to follow each other over social media, so I was, watching her do hair and post her videos and stuff, so that's how
So you contacted her on what date to do a reinstall?
I believe it was...
It was
like
March.
No, it wasn't.
In the month of March?
Yes.
The same month that you had it initially installed?
It was the end of March.
But the same month?
Yes.
And you went to her home? Is that where she operates?
Yes,
I gather that you were in her home.
At the time, yes. She used to work inside a studio.
What I read in your complaint was when you left, you noticed that the installation had left certain, according to you, bald spots in the netting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you contacted the defendant.
Right away.
Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas? You had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after we
What did you do with it?
Precious Stewart claims hairstylist Karani Thomas did not properly install her wig and never returned it.
Okay. Do you remember that call, Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what she said to you when she called.
She said that specifically there were spots or gaps that she needed to be fixed. So I told her that she can come back the next day and we would fix whatever spots because she didn't send me a picture. So I just told her, go ahead, come back the next day.
But she did, in fact, pay you the $200 for installing the wig.
Her coming back the next day wasn't an extra charge.
Did she come back the next day?
No.
Do you know why?
She did not come back at the time that she was supposed to because she said that her carpets were getting clean and she forgot. I also...
Thank you. Okay, so it looks as if the day that you had set to go there, you kept stalling it because you had workmen in your house.
Yeah,
is that right?
I have a
Yeah, that's a yes.
I had a maintenance man.
Yeah, that's yes. You had workmen in the house. She said, come. You had workmen in the house. And then you asked to come when her baby was sleeping. And she said, don't come when my baby is sleeping because the dogs will bark and wake up the baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the only page that I have here.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when did she come back?
Afterward, that same night, I have another paper. She didn't come back, and then she sent me this text message. letting me know that she got in contact with another hairstylist that's apparently a friend of hers, saying that...
No, I can read.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you say in this text is that you showed the wig to somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they told you that it couldn't be fixed because too much was plucked and a wig replacement. And then you say, I hate this because you're a very sweet person, very talented. I'm not sure how we got here. I'm going to proceed with removing the wig from my head. I'll bring it to you so you can see if there's any saving possible. Thank you and sorry for the inconvenience. When did you do that?
The same day.
Okay, so you brought it to her.
No, I didn't bring it to her. I told her that the same day that I...
No, when did you bring it to her?
I brought it to her the next day.
Okay, so that was still the end of March, or was that the beginning of April?
I believe it was still the end of March.
It was March 26th.
So you brought it to her, and what happened?
I brought it to her. She said that she would try to fix it. She then proceeded trying to fix it. She sent me photos of what she tried to do, which wasn't really much of anything because it still looked bald. Also, I have these photos as well as what it looked like the next morning. Looked like it was disintegrating off my head. That's a proper install the next morning. A few hours.
Just looking.
Doesn't do that.
Okay. Okay. I see them. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
She's here.
Yes, I have them.
You have them?
She sent that to my phone.
Okay, great. I'll take them back now. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome, Judge.
Okay, so you had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it. Sorry.
I didn't ask you anything.
Sorry.
What did you do with the wig?
It had been over 2 months since we had in contact with each other. I just got rid of it.
How did you get rid of it?
I threw it away.
Why?
Because I had spent money that went to waste and I replaced it. I couldn't do anything with it.
What do you mean replaced it?
I replaced the frontal that she said I made bald. So I spent my own money and she would not come pick the wig up because I wouldn't do another install on her head.
May I see those? I assume those text messages go into April and May.
Yes.
Okay. And so we're not that far away. And I would assume that the wig doesn't take up that much room in your house.
Well, she didn't come back until June.
It doesn't matter.
With the police.
What does that matter?
She said that she didn't want it anymore.
Good morning, Boo. I will be home tomorrow. Okay, I'll get back to you, take pictures of well. Okay. Well, in any event, you had no right to either give it away, sell it, throw it away until this matter was resolved. So you owe her first the $600. The wig, you had no right to throw it away.
Even with her saying that she didn't want it anymore?
I never said I didn't want it, though.
But you did. I have proof of that.
You said I did. I said I didn't want it.
Are you talking to each other? If you talk to each other, then I dismiss your case. Do you understand?
Sorry.
Bottom line. So if you have proof that she said to you, you can discard the wig, then I'll say, I don't want to see, I don't want that wig anymore. You owe me for the wig because you ruined it. That's a different story than I don't want it anymore.
Okay. Can I?
Do you understand?
Can I find that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if what I'm trying to find is in the papers that you have or here. So I'm sorry if I'm taking long. I'm reading.
I don't see anything in the papers that I have here that says you can get rid of it.
Okay, I do. I have it. Well, it doesn't say get rid of it, but it does say you can keep the wig and give me my $700 then.
Oh, yeah. I can understand that. So did you give her money? You kept it?
No.
You kept it?
I did not.
Did you give her her money?
No, I did not.
Well, then you owe her $687. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think she made the right decision.
I feel like the judge made the wrong decision.
I was trying to let things die down, maybe a civil person.
We both came to an agreement that I would reconstruct the unit.
It would have been like, hey, it doesn't belong to me, let me just give it back.
The problem was that she wouldn't come back and pick it up because I wouldn't install her hair again.
Just give me my wig back. And she told me no.
I felt I didn't owe her any money.
I don't got the wig, but I'm getting my money back.
Simple, easy. You can't throw away somebody's property.
Yep.
The only thing that I was amazed at in the complaint, Sarah, is that she sat there for 5.5 hours while she had this wig installed.
Yeah. Beauty is pain.
I cannot imagine sitting someplace 5.5 hours without leaving with a baby.
For a washer and dryer.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2043, Pelletier versus Allen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady is a friend of yours.
A former friend, correct.
How friend?
I met her from another mutual friend that I had, and we just formed a relationship together, just a friendship.
Are you married?
I'm not, I'm single.
Any kids?
No.
And what about the defendant?
She does have 2 kids, and she is married.
Currently?
Yes, currently married.
Are you also friendly with her husband?
Yeah, just friends. We were, yeah, before all this took place.
So that all of you were friends?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Case is relatively simple. Miss Allen's washer and dryer stopped working.
Correct.
You had done some odds and ends things for her in the past.
Yes, worked on her car and stuff.
And did you find or did she find the used washer and dryer?
She asked me for recommendations, and she found it on the selling app for used items.
So you told her where she might look for it?
Correct.
And she found it on an app online?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually...
Look at me.
Okay. He made the recommendation to me.
Did you go on the app yourself?
No, I did not.
So you never saw the washer and dryer?
Well,
is that what you're... Just a second. So what you're saying, I just want to be clear. So I said, if you didn't go on the site, then you never saw the washer and dryer.
May I speak now?
Either you did go on the site and see it, or I didn't go on the site. I didn't see it.
He sent the picture of them to me, just a screenshot. That's all I got.
Okay. How old are you?
32.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Did the screenshot show you where they came from?
I have a photo of them, and it doesn't say anything.
So is what you're telling me you didn't know where they came from?
Well, there is a name of the site. Would you like to know that?
Where the photo came from. So let's say you are correct, and I don't know. You said you needed a washer and dryer. You say he found the washer and dryer on a site, sent a photo to you and said, is this what you're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And on that screenshot was the site.
Right.
So you had at least access to the same site that he did.
That's correct.
And did the site give you the name of the person or persons to contact with regard to the washer dryer?
There was no one's name. No one's name, just a phone number.
Did you call a phone number?
I didn't call them.
Who called them?
Mr. Pelletier.
Now, Mr. Pelletier didn't call them unless you said they looked fine.
Well, I did say they looked fine.
Well, what else did you say?
Based on the picture, they looked...
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Okay.
Because what happened here is really relatively simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether you're a simple person, but it's relatively simple. You had a friend. You told him I needed a washer and dryer. Mine broke down. He said, this is a great site. According to you, I'll look up, and he looked up the washer and dryer, and you did nothing. You, who needed the washer and dryer, you must work very hard. How many jobs do you have?
I have a couple of jobs. My children are a big job, for one. And 2, I am a full-time university student, so I am busy.
So you should be able to get a washer and dryer by yourself. You farmed that job out to him.
I did because he volunteered to help.
Doesn't matter. He didn't volunteer to help unless you told him, I need help. I mean, as what it is, are you using him? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't.
I'm not sure. What do you do for him?
Free of charge, because, well,
for how long?
I didn't expect him to be gone that long either. It was over a week, and I had to buy the cat's food.
So, just a second. So you watched his cats?
Yes.
And is what you believed that him taking care of getting this washing machine payment for taking care of the cats?
Well, not just that. There's other things that happened while he was installing the washer and dryer.
I don't care about things that... What I'm asking you is I'm trying to figure out what kind of person says to a friend, I need a washer and dryer. He says, as a friend, I'll see if I can help you. You have time. You also go on the computer and figure it out. Being a full-time student is nice. That's what you chose. Somehow, you also support yourself and your 2 children. I don't even want to go into how that's done. However, you said, go get the washer and dryer. And he went, how long?
It's 50 miles from my house, an hour and 45 minutes.
Each way. to pick up the washer and dryer that you authorized him to get. You said, go get it. It was $1,800.
Correct. And she offered $200 tip for the delivery of that.
For you?
Correct. And I have texts of
That's
that.
reasonable because you spent 3.5 hours in the car. Now, do they live on the first floor?
The third floor.
Third floor. Is it a walk up?
Yeah, it's stairway up to the third floor.
So somebody had to go up and take the old washer dryer out. So, Miss Allen, was that you or your husband?
Mr. Pelletier also removes them.
No, you can move your mouth. It's okay if you move.
No,
it's okay if you move your mouth.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you,
cats.
I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like.
And later today.
When we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had. So between years worth of tolls, like
I don't know either, but that's what I'm going to find out.
Hunter Pelletier claims his former friend, Alexandria Allen, is responsible for the cost of a washer and dryer.
The plaintiff walked up the 3 flights of steps, carried each of the washer and dryers downstairs, took the washer and dryers from downstairs up the 3 flights, got them installed, and you didn't like them. They were a different color.
And they're busted up. They don't even work properly.
Okay. Miss Allen, when did this happen? In what month?
January 7th of 2022.
You have receipts for different washers and dryers that you purchased since January of 2022?
I do not have the receipts, no.
That means that you didn't purchase them.
Well, I never paid him for them.
No. That means that you never purchased new ones. That means that you're still using the ones he bought.
Correct. But right. It not work well.
Just you bought used washer and dryer. You've been using them January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 8 months, and you're still using them. And you neither paid for them, nor did you pay him for delivery. And I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like. You made a contract with him to go and pick up washers and dryers, disconnect yours, take them out of your house, install these.
I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you, you should stay in school. How much did you pay for the washer and dryer?
$1,800, and I took the money out of the bank. She had asked me because her ATM has a low limit, so I went into the branch of my own bank.
That's what you're suing for $1,800?
Yeah, I wanted to get the $200 if possible, but at this point, I just want the money for the machines.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. $1,800.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It damaged the walls of my apartment. They banged it up.
She saw right through everything, the damages, she said.
The machines were overpriced.
None of that happened from me. I'm not a professional installer.
I don't think he cared because it wasn't his money.
At the time, they were less than 6 months old from original purchase date, so they were still worth the money that they were asking.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to be friends anymore.
I don't need friends like that, no.
So this case touched a little upon agency, like an agent-principal relationship, where here the plaintiff was actively acting as her agent by going and picking up these washing machines for her. They had had communications beforehand about this is what they look like, this is what they cost, I'll do it for you for $200. Is this what you want to do? She says yes. You don't get to just then back out of it because you don't like the color. You knew what they look like. You knew they were used. There was no bait and switch. I was almost waiting for an explanation, for a bait and switch, he put the nice ones in his house and then gave me not so nice ones. But there was nothing. There was very rarely do we see no excuse for.
And she's using them.
Yeah, still for almost a year.
They're all banged up. They were all banged up. Well, that's what happens when you buy something that's used. Mm-hmm. When you buy something over the internet, which is really what she did, she could have just as easily said to him, before you load them in the truck, please take pictures of them so that I see them.
Yes, she could have.
So she could have. Did nothing.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Also allowed him to take the other stuff down, put the other stuff up, and then say, well.
Yeah.
Case number 2017, Alvarez versus Coover. All parties, please step forward.
Avery and Alvarez is suing his former friend, Brianna Coover, for toll charges.
Mr. Alvarez, this is not a very difficult case. It's a question of dates. You bought a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew the defendant somehow through her boyfriend or?
He's my cousin.
Okay, so you purchased a new car. You had an older car that you were still paying off. And Miss Culver needed a car, and you made an arrangement with her where she would take over the monthly payments on your old car so that you would just be paying your new car. And when she finished making the payments on the car would be hers.
That's correct.
You did, in fact, conclude that agreement, and Miss Coover did, in fact, pay off the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She paid off the car. However, she did not register the car in her name.
That's correct.
And you had your plates on the car, and it is your claim that while the car was in her possession, she racked up $600 and some odd in toll fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Culver said that didn't happen. She had her own Easy Pass, toll pass, whatever it is. And there was no way that those tickets were incurred while she was in possession of the car. And additionally, she's got some very sad stories. She paid off the car. She didn't register it for some reason. She didn't register it, which I don't have to get into. You took the car back because you were afraid that your plates were on the car, and you started to get these dunning notices for tickets. Then you had to give the car back because you had given her the title to the car when she finished paying off the car, despite the fact she hadn't registered it. And then you took the license plates back, which is a very smart thing to do, because then she couldn't use them to get through the tolls. And taken to a lot where she didn't have enough money to get the car out, and the car was auctioned off, and now she has no car, and you have $600 worth of tickets in your name.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Is that it?
That is a version of the story, yes.
Well, I will let you tell me a different version.
Everything is true thus far. We did have the agreement where he wanted a new car, I needed a car.
Yeah, I got that. I just want to know what I said that was incorrect. I just made it shorter.
Just to clarify, when we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had before they're able to transfer the title over. So that was done. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either. That's what I'm going to find out. But is there any part of the story that I just told that was inaccurate? He transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Other than you who drove the car. Come on, that's a question. And other than you who drove the car.
Nobody.
No. Who drove your car?
Avery and Alvarez claims his former friend, Brianna Coover, owes for toll charges. Brianna says she already paid for the toll charges.
He says that you had possession of the car. He got notification that there were tickets. You say that you didn't go through tolls. He said, I didn't have possession of the car. Is there anything that is incorrect about that? So it's just a question of dates. It's not a difficult case. It's a question of dates.
Correct.
Okay, so give me the date that you made this arrangement to pay off the car.
I don't know the exact date.
She took over the car payments starting July 2019.
And when was it paid off?
May 16th, 2021.
When it was paid off, did you sign the title over to her? And the
We had
lien
basically
holder
settled on a date, and then the DMV over there said that she had to have a sheriff verify the VIN and the odometer before we could transfer it over. I guess it's a rule in the county. So at that moment, then yes, we signed it over to her so she could do it at her local DMV.
And that was on what date?
That was July 9th.
Now, between July of 2018 and July of 2021, did you ever drive that car?
No, ma'am.
When did you initially take the car back from her?
I took the car back September 11th of 2021.
And how long did you have the car when you took it back because of these tickets?
I texted her on September 15th and told her that she could go pick the car up because I had found out that I
couldn't do that.
Exactly.
There's a self-help for that.
Correct.
Okay, so you had the car between September 11th and September 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that period of time, did you ever drive the car from July 18th until the present time?
No, ma'am.
So if there were any tickets that were accrued, it was either by the defendant or somebody who drove the car with defendant's permission?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the dates of the tickets. Ms. Coover, you don't question the fact that between July 2018 and today's date, with the exception of between September 11th and the 15th of 2021, he did not have possession of the car.
Correct. The only reason that when we transferred the title over, we had an agreement.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. This is not a conversation. I just want to know who got the ticket. September 11th and September 15th in 2021, they belong to him. Any other tickets from 2018 July until infinity are yours. Well, we have invoice date is 7/28/21. That would be you.
Correct.
June 30th, 2021, 7/1/2021, 7/2/2021, again 7/2, 7/3, 7/6, 7/6, 7/7, 7/8, 7/8, 7/22, and 7/28 of 2021. Those are all you.
Correct.
August 28th, 2021. That would be you.
Yes.
3/3/6/9/19/28 of 2021. August. That all would be you.
Yes. I never argued that that wasn't me. I'm just, from the moment that we officially transferred the title over, we were not able to transfer the title over until I paid.
Oh, just show, you paid these?
And we were together.
Now, just
when
a
we did
second.
that.
Show me that you paid them.
I have this receipt.
Just show me that you paid them. That's it.
And that would have been what was due at the time when we transferred the title over.
I'm just going by the dates of the tickets, madam. I don't care how the government screws up. That's not my problem. Okay, show me your payment. May I see it, please?
It should say the date there and the cost of those tolls on the day.
This is your SunPass. You replenished your SunPass.
That's a payment to SunPass. To the day that he came to my parents' house and took the car, there was no way that I racked up $600 in tolls.
I don't know whether you did or didn't. Then take that up with Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they say you racked up between that period of time. He didn't have possession of the car. You had possession of the car from the time he transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Well, other than you who drove the car. Come on, that's a question. And other than you who drove the car.
Nobody.
No. He never drove your car.
No.
Who drove your car?
I did.
Who else?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $654. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Quick and simple case. She did what she needed to do.
I can't really say I'm super surprised, I guess.
I was just asking for payment on the tolls and I wasn't getting any responses.
I don't know how in literally 3 months I didn't rack up $600 in tolls.
It is what it is.
He was okay with me continuing to use his
Take my license plate with me.
license plate until one day he wasn't, and then he wanted all that money.
So, what would be your takeaway from that?
I think as a layperson, my takeaway would be if you're going to sell a car, especially to someone you don't know well, it's not a family member, it's, either a stranger or acquaintance, take your own plates off the car. Get a receipt, bring it to DMV, because your name, your address, your phone number will be tied to tickets, SunPass charges, and even maybe an accident. You just don't want your name associated with the vehicle anymore once you relinquish your ownership.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh những bông hoa nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chậu hoa tulip nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Hỏi ai chịu lại?
Chưa biết.
Thế khóc vậy? tiền ở đâu? Bỏ tiền chị em cạnh nhau. Mà để kia gì đấy? Vừa làm vừa xem nữa, để gọn lại. Còn ngồi cạnh nhau nữa chịu thật. Không tắm không này nấu. Cái bàn của mẹ, bàn để như để luôn, chả bao giờ thấy dùng. Con sao cùng con ngồi đánh giá gần con, không được con mặt mẹ. Vô cùng. Kệ nó bẩn này. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng rất là xinh đẹp nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi. Mình sẽ tô màu đỏ son vào váy. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô gái đang đi làm tóc nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Tô màu đen vào tóc. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng mặc một chiếc váy dạ hội rất là đẹp nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Chị có màu này vào váy.
Bộ bánh mì đâu? Mới 23.000 à?
Hả? Nó có mang điện thoại gì à?
Không biết.
Nó mang điện thoại gì à?
Không biết.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng Barbie đang ngồi nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Vẽ tô áo màu đỏ son. Màu xanh cho quần. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một nàng công chúa nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Tóc màu nâu. Sẽ tô màu tím vào váy. Đây là Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng đang dẫn chó đi dạo nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Mình sẽ tô tóc màu nâu. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng có mái tóc dài nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Mình sẽ tô tóc màu nâu. Nam, tôm màu xanh, nước biển đậm. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng ăn mặc rất là sành điệu nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Chị tô tóc màu nâu. Ánh màu xanh. xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh hai bông hoa nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Mình sẽ tô hoa này màu đỏ son. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng mặc một chiếc váy rất là đẹp nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Sẽ tô tóc màu này. màu hồng cho váy.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô nàng múa ba lê nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô màu nâu vào tóc. Váy mình sẽ tô màu xanh nước biển.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú thỏ nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Sẽ tô màu hồng vào mũi. Tai.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú vịt nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Sẽ tô màu màu cam, hết tô màu vàng và chú vịt.